So today, I'm going to talk to you about the 10 things that I wish every aspiring writer would know. I didn't know a lot of these things when I first started out writing, and if I had known them, it would have saved me a lot of heartache. So before we really get into the content of the video, I want to give a bit of a disclaimer because I'm going to be speaking here from my personal experience as a self-published author of young adult books. I don't write short stories, I don't traditionally publish my books, and I also don't write literary fiction. I write supernatural thrillers and other more commercial genre fiction. So all of these tips pertain a little bit more to the kind of writing and self-publishing that I do. Not to say that they also don't apply to other types of publishing. Some of them do, but a lot of my examples that I'm using are more in line with what I've personally experienced in my life, because this is a video on my YouTube channel, told by me, who's had certain experiences in my life. So let's get into it. The first thing that I wish every single aspiring writer would know about writing is that rejection is part of the process. As a writer, you get rejected all the time. You get rejected by people not wanting to read your book. You get rejected by gatekeepers not allowing you to publish your book. Regardless of whether you choose to self-publish or publish traditionally, the publishing industry is full of people who are going to tell you that they are not interested in reading your book. So it's important to let those rejections not stop you from writing. If writing is what you want to do, then do your writing, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about your writing. All you need is to find a group of people who is interested in reading the kinds of stuff that you love to write in order to find success as a writer. 2, you are gonna get bad reviews. Bad reviews are part of the process. Just like rejection, you are gonna have readers that don't like your book. Every single book has readers that don't like their book. Even best-selling books that have had movie adaptations, that have people just absolutely who love them, those books also get bad reviews because there are people that just don't like them. One book is not gonna please everybody, and that is okay because you have people that have a bunch of different tastes. For example, I don't personally like eating Chinese food, but you have a lot of other people who love eating Chinese food. So even if it's the best Chinese food in the world, I'm still not gonna really love it. But the people who love Chinese food, if it's the best Chinese food in the world, they're gonna really love it. Just because you get a bad review doesn't mean that you're a bad writer. All it means is that one person didn't really vibe with the kind of book that you were producing, and that is totally fine. 3, you only need 3 things to succeed as a writer: persistence, a willingness to experiment, and the ability to learn from failure. Persistence is honestly the biggest one. If you are able to be determined enough to have a goal and to not let anything stop you from achieving that goal, you are eventually going to reach it. Probably. I mean, I'm talking about writing goals here. I'm not talking about really, really super far-fetched stuff. There are some things that are kind of impossible to accomplish. But with writing, if you decide that you want to write and publish a book and you set your mind to it, and even when you're rejected, even if you get bad reviews, even if you have people telling you that you shouldn't do it, you just stick to your goal and you continue to pursue it every single day, then eventually you're going to get there. The second thing that you need is a willingness to experiment. It's really hard to create your own writing process, and there's no one surefire way to write a great book. The only way that you can develop a writing process and get better at writing is by experimenting with things. Because there's no one way to write a book, it's impossible to teach people how to write books either, which is why in order to learn, what you need to do is just experiment with what works for other people. If this instructor who you trust suggests you try outlining all of your books scene by scene, try outlining your book scene by scene and see how that makes you feel. If it helps you, continue doing that. But if it doesn't help you, don't do that and try something else. If you do a ton of experimentation, eventually you'll be able to pull together things that work for you, and then you can start developing your own unique writing process. But with experimentation comes a lot of failure. So the third thing that you really need to succeed as a writer is the ability to learn from that failure. If you are able to look at things that didn't work, or quote-unquote failures, objectively and not emotionally, and really try to figure out what went wrong with what you were trying to do, then it's going to help you change your behavior for next time so you can avoid that failure or overcome the problem better. I know it's really hard to detach your feelings when you get rejected. For me, this has been a really big struggle. I know I'm all talk right now, but it has really been hard for me to learn how to not take things personally when people will say negative things about my writing, because I hold it so close to myself and it's such an extension of who I am that it feels personal when somebody attacks that. But me learning how to take that step back has helped me so much, because when somebody says, oh, I've noticed this a lot about your writing, I'm able to look at that instead of getting emotional about it. I can be like, okay, well, maybe I can work on trying to get better at that one thing. And then after I work on that, I don't hear that as much. So then I feel like I've improved as a writer and it's helped me get better. That kind of critical feedback helps you advance as a writer more than somebody who just tells you that they love your story. So it's actually really good to get. And even though it's hard to absorb it in the beginning, it gets easier the more you work on it. 4, if you love it, you can do it. Writing a book is not an impossible task. Finding readers who will enjoy your book is also not an impossible task. These are things that you can very, very well accomplish, and if you want to be a writer and do those things, you can. So finish your story and go out there and find your people. 5, writing takes a lot of hard work. Honestly, probably more than you would expect. If your goal is to eventually become a full-time author, and there are a lot of reasons why this is not necessarily the best goal, but if that is your goal, you need to be prepared to work all the time. The people who are able to make full-time incomes as self-published authors often have to write and publish a lot of books. Because it is kind of like feeding the train. Like there's a train that is running and you have to keep shoveling coal into the fire in order for the train to keep running. And the second that you stop shoveling coal into the fire, the train's not going to go as fast. That's kind of what it's like with self-publishing. If you're not consistently releasing stuff for your readers to read, you're not shoving enough coal into the fire of the train, and the train is going to slow down and eventually stop. So you have to be prepared to write a lot, and you also have to be prepared to write when you don't feel like writing. There's some days where I would just rather not sit my butt down in the chair and write. But part of being an author and doing this is that I have to force myself to sit down in the chair and write even when I don't feel like doing it. There are also, of course, authors who don't have to do the same kind of frequent publishing schedule in order to make money from their books, but I'm just talking about generally what I've heard has been the consensus on podcasts I've listened to and articles I've read about self-publishing. Okay, so the 6th thing that I would love all aspiring writers to know before really embarking seriously on their writing career is that writing also takes a lot of marketing. Gone are the days of the author who can just write a book and put it out into the world and disappear into nothingness and expect readers to all find it and fall in love with it and have movies be made about it. You really have to go out there and find your readers. There are so many people publishing now because publishing is easier than it has ever been that you really need to be aggressive about it. Now, especially in young adult, readers expect authors to be on social media. There is a certain level of personal connection that is expected between authors and readers now, that when you don't provide that to your readers, they're going to be wondering where that is. Authors are expected to be aggressively marketing, to be going on tours, to be on social media, to be jumping on the latest trends like creating author talk and TikTok accounts. So all of this is to say is that as an author, you are going to spend a lot of time marketing as well as writing. Going in, I did know that I would have to do quite a bit of marketing, but I didn't realize how time consuming it would be, and also just how physically draining it would be for someone as introverted as I am, like constantly putting myself out there on social media and talking to people and connecting with people. Don't get me wrong, I love YouTube as a platform. I love being able to make videos and connect with you all on this platform, but just a lot of social media in one day is very tiring for me. So this is something that I've had to work on, and I've had to really push myself to put myself out there, and that's not something that I expected going in. But luckily, there are a ton of podcasts and YouTube videos and online resources out there that can help you create a marketing plan that's best suited to your needs and also to your strengths. Because if you really hate social media and are miserable, nobody's gonna wanna watch your social media content and watch you be miserable. So you need to play to your strengths too. The 7th thing is that connecting with readers who get your story is the best feeling in the world. I literally cannot explain how good it feels when you are able to talk to somebody who's read your book and it has just fallen in love with it and just completely gets and understands what you were trying to do with that book. It just makes all of the hardship worth it. It makes you feel like you've written this thing that other people also care about, and it just makes your heart all warm and fuzzy. And then you also get some people that just create fan art about your book and your world, and that's the most amazing thing ever. If I could bottle up one feeling in the world, it would be the feeling that I get when somebody creates fan art about my world and I get to see it. It's the best. It's amazing, and I recommend it. 8 is that the publishing industry is always changing. There are new trends, there are new marketing tactics that come out. As an author, You have to be ready to react and pivot to the rapidly changing publishing industry. Trends change really quickly, and marketing tactics that worked one day might not work as well the next day. So it's really important that you're able to think on your feet to adapt to these changes and to adopt your business model accordingly. 9 is that you get to be friends with other authors, and it's awesome. Since I've started publishing again, I have been able to make friends with a bunch of other authors, and having author friends is amazing because you get to talk about your books, and they share this thing with you that a lot of people in your life won't share with you, and they'll understand what it's like being an author, and they'll understand what it's like having to navigate social media and marketing stuff. And they just have this love of creative writing because nobody does this if they don't love writing and love storytelling. So you immediately have something in common with a lot of people, and that's really, really cool. And 10, and this is honestly the most important thing I wish I'd known, is that success is a vague term that you need to define for yourself. What does it mean to be successful? What does that mean? I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. Some people might say it's being able to earn a living from your books. Other people might say it's being able to publish a book. Some people might say it's getting onto the New York Times bestseller lists. Some people might say it's developing a core fandom base of readers who just absolutely love the series that you adore. But whatever it is, you need to decide for yourself what you're working towards and what your barometer for success is. Otherwise, you are setting yourself up to be disappointed and miserable when things might not measure up to the very super vague standards that you set for yourself. So my advice to you would be to figure out what it is that you're working towards and celebrate all of the small victories that you get on your way to that goal. Then when you get to your goal, bask in the glory and the success of getting to that goal. At the end of the day, being an author is about producing books that you're proud of and finding a readership that loves the kind of books that you like to write. Even if you've only reached one of those readers so far in your writing career, I would say that that's success. That's what you want to be doing, is connecting with readers and sharing your stories. And if you're doing that, then I'd already say that you're successful. And anything else is just icing on the cake. So that's it for my video on 10 things that I wish every aspiring writer would know. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Comment below if you resonated with any of these tips. Do you have anything that you wish that you'd known when you first started out on your writing career? Let me know. I hope you have a good week, everyone, and as always, happy writing.